Hi there, welcome and happy Friday. Like I said, I've been saying that forever, but so many people are like, wait, what day is it? Is it Friday? Yes, indeed, it's Friday, and it is the CCE Global Talks, Industry Talks going live today. I'm so excited to bring up studio owners, who they are, and what drives their business, and also the producers who film on their lot. So let's bring on Rob Tovar of 2112, The Hangar.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Thank you, Sadia, for having me on.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure, Rob. You know, I have recently joined the team over at 2112, and I've gotten to know you and the hangar. And as a film producer myself, I'm just fascinated with the amount of work that you have developed out of the hangar. So I want to allow you to talk to the audience and tell them a little bit about who you are and kind of what inspired the hangar. And then we'll show you a really cool clip.
Oh, wow. Surprises. So, hi, everyone. My name is Rob Tovar. I'm the founder of the Hangar Stage here, located at 2112 Fort Knox Studios in Chicago. Uh, we opened the Hangar 4 years ago. It was actually in July. I turned 4 years old. Uh, a little bit about my background. I spent some years in the hospitality business. More importantly, with Caesars Entertainment. From there, I kind of moved on to the production side of things at some various studios throughout Chicago. Spent some time on television with a local host called Mancow. I think a lot of people know him out there. And then some radio time. But then uh, through the years, I became friends with a young man who opened 2112, and we had a 7,000 square foot space that's available here that was kind of sitting empty. And at the time, CineSpace was having a lot of success in bringing these episodics into Chicago. So we focused on the hangar, and we opened that up to focus on the indie film and the smaller films that are coming in. But since then, we've had large scale episodics and featured films come through here, and it's been a fun ride. CBS Redline filmed with us here. Most recently, we had the comedy hit show Showtime season 1, which just finished airing. And looks like if everything clears up, we might get season 2 coming back here. So it's been a fun time at the hangar here with us and 2112.
Yeah, it's so funny. You speak of work in progress that shot with you, and I just so happened to have had an opportunity to see it at Sundance before it got picked up. So it was like, this is such an incredible concept and such a great show, you know, and I was looking for where it was going to land, you know, and to find out it not only landed in Chicago, it landed at the hangar. So that's really exciting. The Wachowskis and JJ Ingram and oh my gosh, Abby. I mean, just
Abby, yes.
so, yeah, super fun. So, yeah, let's show a little clip of the what was it? I think it was the ribbon cutting actually of the hangar.
There's a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of tireless days trying to take an idea, a concept, a vision, a dream, and make it a reality. And I want to thank you for literally taking a concept, an idea. A year later, we're opening not only a new space, but also a new frontier for the city of Chicago, giving all the people that are coming around the world to see what's happening here at Fort Knox is a testament of the pearl in this oyster. And you have created something that the whole city will be really proud of. You have created something that I think the entire city should see, and not only the city, it's clearly you're ahead of us as a city. And when you bring entrepreneurship, creativity, and determination, you can make music.
That's our hangar. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's the hangar. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. No, it's. I think being part of the back production side of things, it's always fun to see that your space gets transformed into sets, and that's been a wrestling arena. It's been New York City via green screen. It's been a hotel for Disney. We had Disney in here last year, so it's really fun to see that thing just transform itself, and then you watch it on television, and you're kind of like, wow, look at that, we're making movies. So Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you had our mayor, Rahm Emanuel, our former mayor, once a mayor, always a mayor, there to cut the ribbon. Talk to us a little bit about the support that you got from the city.
At the time that was 2112, which is our creative incubator space that's housed here next door to the hangar. It was turning a year old, and then the city were launching some initiatives in the entertainment sector. So we had the mayor come through, and that's kind of when the support from the city of Chicago really started to come up our way. CineSpace was doing some great things, and we're actually Stage 18 is a sister incubator with us out there. We started to kind of show the city of Chicago that in the entertainment sector, we're becoming an industry, and film was a big part of that. And in the 4 years, it just keeps growing and growing, and we know that it's going to continue to grow. It's just a little reset button that we're experiencing right now. But film is an economy, and it's a big economy, and it's creating a lot of jobs here in Chicago.
Yeah, if you would, I mean, just basically speak to that with regards to the jobs that it's creating, because it'll be a great segue to bring on our guest producer today.
It's given local producers, directors, writers on the freelance side of things, gaffing, the lighting crew, the sound crew, transportation. It's really opened up those doors, whether it's a union job or a non-union job. It's really created, thousands of jobs out there. The catering industry is successful because of it. On the hospitality side, hotel stays and extended stays have all been successful. Travel, it all ties together. And if you have large productions filming in Chicago, they're going to want to eat somewhere. They're going to want to enjoy themselves somewhere, and at the same time, it's giving folks an opportunity to have a nice career in the film industry in Chicago without having to leave and go work in places like Atlanta or Los Angeles or New York or Canada. But it really is it's giving that opportunity. More importantly, with 2112, it also gives us an opportunity to work with colleges. So we're focusing on our students that are taking courses in this industry, and now we're opening up doors for them as well. Every project that's come here to the hangar, I've been able to put interns from various colleges throughout the city to work on those, and that makes their reels and their resumes look really amazing once they're ready to hit the workforce.
Yeah, well, it's really great that not only do you provide the space, right? You're providing job opportunities, and you're creating, a revenue stream for people who may not, be able to access that, whether they leave for California or New York. And one of the big things that, our state is looking for right now are more places to film. As you mentioned, I don't know if we call it a sister studio, but we're also friendly. CineSpace down on the south side, and IFA, which is a partner of ours, where they also are an incubator for creating, creative talent and providing resources to filmmakers. I want to invite, we did have a special guest, and I don't know if I should tell you now.
Who was it? Who was it?
Who was it? Well, yeah. We reached to our Mayor Rahm Emanuel to jump in. We were so close. The calls were just coming in to the very end. But he knows about what we're doing. Very proud, Rob, and Scott Fetters, for the creative space and the work that's coming out of 2112. So if not today, another day, he'll definitely join us.
Hopefully he's watching, and hello, Mr. Mayor. So.
Yeah, it's my understanding he's out and about. Otherwise, he'd be on with us. So on that note, you've created this incredible space for talent, producers, all sorts of individuals who work in the film industry, not only locally in Chicago, but you spoke of CBS, the Red Line. That's Ava DuVernay's show, right? So you've been able to create an environment where you're actually attracting other production companies out from outside of Chicago into Chicago, which is really fantastic. But at this time, we're going to talk to one of those locals who's an incredible filmmaker, Mary Kate Cooke. She'll join us, and hey there.
Hello.
So I want to have Mary Kate definitely talk to us a little bit about, what inspired you to be a producer, and then how you got to the hangar.
Sure. Well, I accidentally became a producer, to be quite frank. I got as talent, as on-camera talent, and one day, many years ago, a friend of mine who was a very successful businessman, he decided what he really wanted to do was write and direct. And so he got in touch and he said, I wrote this movie for you. Will you be in it? And I was like, of course. And I was like, well, I'm SAG, the Actors Union. So you'll have to sign up with the SAG office and get all that paperwork going. And he was like, okay, well, how do I do that? And so I introduced him to the SAG office at the local here in Chicago. And then I was like, do you have a DP or a gaffer yet? And he's like, what's that? And I was like, well, I know a bunch. I know a lot of people around town because I had worked so consistently on camera. And so I was able to sort of like help him navigate, hiring department heads and stuff like that. And then we started going into further casting and eventually I was like, I think what I'm doing is called producing. Do you just want me to produce this movie for you? And he was like, yes. And so that was a major trial by fire, starring in and producing a low budget independent film. But it ended up premiering at CineQuest and got distribution, won a bunch of awards at a bunch of different film festivals. And so now all of a sudden I was a award-winning independent film producer. And so people just started calling and asking me to, help on their projects and stuff. And so that's how I got started.
That's pretty fantastic. That's I love it. I mean, that's pretty fantastic. So I have to ask, you said that you were working a lot on camera. So would it be anything that you can tell us that we've seen or?
I think probably I was on some of the TV shows like Early Edition and Cupid and stuff like that back in the day. A bunch of commercials. I was the Tampax girl for like a year and a half.
Hey, those pay good bills. I mean, it was
awesome. I was in a movie with Kevin Bacon called Echoes, and that's probably the biggest one that people know.
Very, very cool.
So
that's so much fun. It's so I want to just touch base on something. I said to Mary Kay that we have a unique connection that she's not aware of. And it really speaks to creative artists who are out there, with the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. We are the nonprofit of 2112. So if you think about the legacy of what 2112 has done in terms of growing successful creative businesses, we're now in a position to reach out to individuals who may not have access, who are historically marginalized communities, and provide resources, boot camps, webinars, things like this, which actually reach a greater audience. So it's an absolute joy for me as a producer. Sometimes I call myself a builder. And this is not really about me, but I think it's important for our viewers to understand those connections. So I love that you said you were an accidental producer. Well, yeah, I was an accidental builder because I got frustrated as a producer. A couple of years ago, I was producing and I got a little phone call from an individual who knew that I had an investor who was investing in feature films. And it was a movie called I Used to Go Here.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I don't know if you know, but there were some delays on us finding out because my investor was like in the process literally of having a baby. And I'm on the phone with UTA trying to hold off, I think it was Nate or Nick or whatever. And they're like, well, we need to go because we need to shoot before the weather changes. And you guys are trying to get into Sundance. And I'm over here like sweating bullets because of baby. We're like, finding this dance. And actually I had spoken with JJ Ingram about it because, right? And so, yeah, I was in the background trying to fund it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it takes a village.
Yeah, and it's a Swanberg film. And it does take a village. So I was happy to see that that's part of your reel, and that it was scheduled to go to South by Southwest. So not to get too deep into specifics, because I want to respect privacy things and things like that, but we're having this conversation in this virtual space because our industries have halted. So can you talk a little bit about what you've had to negotiate or do around the fact that none of us could go to, South by Southwest, or I think Coachella was yesterday.
Yeah, it's a crazy time for sure. These are unprecedented times that we're living in right now. Certainly, it was quite a blow to have South by Southwest be shut down, by the city of Austin, and certainly devastating for I think the whole team, especially in particular Chris Ray, who she has a long history with South by Southwest, and we're real proud of the movie, and certainly it was a labor of love, and we were really excited to share it with the world. So to have our world premiere canceled, or that was definitely challenging, but everybody is dealing with that now. I mean, they canceled the Cannes Film Festival. I mean, nothing is going on, so we're in good company now.
I know, and and that's the thing, we're all practicing social distancing because we know that it is it's literally in the global's best interest for everybody globally to self-isolate. But so how did you get to the hangar?
Oh gosh, Rob, you want to take this one?
I believe you came through, our company's gone through some changes, and I believe you came through with some of our original folks that started Fort Knox. That's the music side of our ecosystem. So we call it an ecosystem because we're neighbors with we're actually in the same building with Fort Knox Studios, which is the music side, over 100 rehearsal studios and a bunch of recording rooms in here. And I believe Mary Kay had, through some folks in the industry, had relationships with one of the original starters of that. And yeah, they came through, and, I've always been, I like to make things easy. I think that's the best way to describe it, right, Mary Kay? It's like, logistically, if I can make your job easier, so you just have to worry on production and let us take care of everything else, whether it's, where we're going to put your extras at, where we're going to set up holding and lights and camera and times, and
where are we going to park the bus?
Where we're going to park, the movie that was here, they had a bus that it broke several times, and we just figured it out, and it needed to be seamless so that producers and directors could focus on making the film, finishing under budget, and I was able to do that. So it's always a bidding process, and I'm very grateful when productions come into the hangar, and that includes the big ones. I've taken the same formula and recipe to the larger shows that have come through, but it really is about making it seamless, making everybody feel welcomed. And when Mary Kay and the team came in, Scott and I think Nicole was one of the camera folks back then, and people started walking through here. We I think it's my smile, so we got them to come in. So.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. And it was, I believe that we were the first film production to be housed there. And you guys you made it so easy for us. Any challenge that we threw your way, you had a solution. We came up with something together that was workable for production and for our time, and also for our money. So have been singing your praises ever since. So I'm glad that it was a launch pad to a successful area of your business.
And I do want to say something, and actually, Mary Kay, you were the first film that we housed production with, and then you also filmed on several locations in our facility. At the same time, we did have another film, but they were just here for a brief period of time. You were actually we housed production, so you were my guinea pig, and I'm not gonna lie, we figured it out as we went. So, but I also want to say, I'm not sure what clips you guys were going to show. I know we had some difficulties getting started, but Mary Kay, I'm forever grateful for you.
Oh,
and
thanks.
JJ as well, and the entire team that was on Chasing the Blues, because they put me on. I had a little walk-on part. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
He had his big screen debut with Steve Gutenberg.
so got
Nice.
to
That was
have
fun.
got to hang out with Steve Gutenberg for the morning, and it was the way they did it was very jovial. They called me in. I thought I was in trouble. It was like I get a call at 6 in the morning, and we knew it was a big day of filming on this in the studio, and they call me in, and we're a jovial bunch of groups around here, and uh, yeah, I think they threw the script at me and said, "Go get ready," and that was it. That was it.
Put on this green jacket.
Yeah, put on the jean jacket. They made me look like somebody from Happy Days. So
Yeah, well, it was like in the 80s or whatever. It was a
yeah,
period piece at
it
that
was a
point. So.
it was a period piece, but it's always been lovely to work with all the groups that come in here, and it's I get the opportunity to bring a lot of interns in, and I want to give them exposure and also try and guide them, mentor them so that when productions do come in, we make it seamless for everyone that comes through here. That's from all the music videos and films and episodics that we've had. So, yeah, that's what drives that business. We're fortunate to have 2112 with 125 plus startups that's associated with us here. And then the music side, I can't remember if you found a music guy from the music for that movie. I can't remember if you did or not, but there's a lot of original music that's inside our facility as well. A lot of bands.
Yeah, it was great being around all of that energy. And our film, Chasing the Blues, was about two.
That's okay. So we have a little pause, but well, Mary Kay, we have a little pause on your screen, but it'll unfreeze
There
in
you go.
a moment. Hey, so speaking about that, Rob, in terms of what I asked Mary Kay, like how is the hangar making the adjustment right now? Oh, I know you have this antimicrobial spray, right? Which makes the space itself safe. But talk to us a little bit about, as a founder and the owner of the hangar, where you have all that massive space, knowing that productions have halted. Talk to us a little bit about some of the vision that you have for right now and going forward.
Well, we're being part of 2112, we've been working very diligently to, what are we going to do when we dust ourselves off and come back? So yes, the hangar has experienced a serious pause. Everything has stopped. Basically, the whole planet's kind of stopped as we know it. So that being said, there are some projects that were scheduled to film here with us. I'm not at liberty to say who those are. However, we do talk. We have those conversations. Are we going to come back? If it does come back, or how are we going to get through with the social distancing? Being a serial entrepreneur, about 7 years ago, I got involved and became a partner with an antimicrobial company that's currently had a lot of success. We're COVID approved, so that has kind of opened up another door, and I've been able to put some artists to work with that. I've had some 2112 people and a couple artists, an artist manager actually, who's they're out there helping us save the planet a spray at a time. So yes, definitely we have a complete total stoppage in the hangar, but everyone that I talk to, we are looking at this is coming back. So we're just resetting. It's a reset.
To reset.
And we're going to come back stronger than ever. It's Chicago. We're Chicagoans.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to stop us.
Nothing's going to stop us. You got some good shout outs coming across there. You got Heyman sending a shout out saying it's just legendary what's going on over at the hangar. He says he remembers that, which is fantastic.
If I may say something,
please.
Heyman is an artist manager, and shameless plug here, but he was one of our very first 2112 members. He's got some really cool artists that he represents. Some of them have come out of The Voice and American Idol. So Ethan Butler and Manny Torres, if you're out there listening, hello. But Heyman, he's really cool cat. He'll come in, and anytime there's a film or a show, he's right there next to me. He is next to me so much that people think he's the hangar, because he's like, I got it, Rob. whatever, don't worry about it, Rob. I got it. There's a lighting issue. Heyman's there. There's a parking issue. There's, Heyman's there. And so Heyman remembers all of that. He's really become involved with the film community. And that's how you enter that crazy world that we're in. He became part of it. So
yeah, I've had such an incredible welcome by the 2112 family, and it's been really exciting to launch CCE out of 2112 for that reason. And I would agree, in my short time in knowing him, and it's all warm, and I can't wait actually to bring not only him on, but to I've got something that I'm working on. You'll have to stay tuned, everyone, as we bring our 2112 members who are interested in, celebrating the work and achievements that they're doing now to grow and sort of, as Rob called it, a reset. I'm going to ask you, Mary Kay, also, before we see if there are any questions out there from anyone. What are you doing in this time of what I call rest, reset, and remix? The reset is like reimagining some of what you thought worked before, knowing that our normal is no longer normal. It'll be a new normal. And then remixing that, grabbing some of the old, putting it together with some of what maybe you've considered maybe a possibility, and then pushing it out into the world. So talk to us about how you've been adjusting with this current state.
Well, certainly there's been a lot of Zoom meetings, and everybody now has time to take a phone call, so that's great. So the collaborative aspect is still there, and I think what Rob said is so spot on, is that we're Chicago, and we're gonna it's a pause, but we're going to come stronger than ever. It'll look different. I think it's a new reality. And certainly I think, in terms of the social distancing and making sure everyone on set feels safe needs to be our top priority when we go back to work. And we're going to need to have really clear guidelines as far as how that works and what are going to be the best practices. I think we have great leadership here in Illinois with J.B. Pritzker, our governor, and certainly our mayor, Lori Lightfoot, is they're both doing a wonderful job. For the film industry, I think, we're going to be looking to our unions to set the standards for us, IATSE and Screen Actors Guild, the Teamsters. They're going to be the ones that are going to make sure that everybody that comes back on set is feeling safe. Always on set, whether we're on location or in a studio, safety is the top priority, the safety of the cast and the crew. So, that might look a little bit different going back into work, whether that's having daily testing to make sure everybody's safe, wearing masks and gloves. Crew sizes might be impacted. Certainly craft service is going to be impacted. I don't think we'll have group communal free-for-all at the craft service table anymore. I think everything will be, individually packaged. But it's really about knowing from the crews what it's going to, take to make them feel safe to come to work every day. We may have to look at, something like signing writers or something, saying, yes, I know that there's going to be X number of people here today. And certainly I think, with actors, that becomes more of a challenge for the social distancing stuff, because probably not very many scripts are going to have people in PPE. So, and navigating also on the budget side, navigating the insurance, that's going to be a big consideration as we go back into working as well.
Wow, you just brought up some really key points, right? Like, what does the crew size look like? You can almost imagine, talent being ushered on separately, spatially. I've heard that there are some commercial producers who are considering, and actually TV producers who are considering social distancing and limited crews. I think you used maybe the term limited crews, where maybe the producers aren't on set but they're somewhere else, and only the essential workers, which that's a big team. Ultimately, I mean, how many would you say generally you have on one set? How many people, if you were to look at the call sheet, whether it's above the line or below the line, how many of those individuals generally would you call an essential, if you could count?
I mean, everybody's essential on a film set. That's the challenge, right? So
Yeah.
we're going to have to scale back and rethink how we're going to tell the story in service of the creative. You know, it's and keep everybody safe. You know, we say, okay, well, let's scale back the crew. Okay, well, if you're looking at that, you know, we're talking about still people are going to be touching gear. Like think about grip and electric. How many C-stands, you know, go through how many people to set up the lighting, you know? So it's from a gear perspective and keeping those things clean, you know, we're talking about scaling back, but in order to keep everything completely clean, we might have to consider having somebody on the crew that literally that's their job. So now you have to have an extra person that's there that, you know, sanitizes whatever gear before as it passes from one person to the next. You know, so there's a lot of logistics that are going to go into this that are going to have to be really well thought out. And I think, you know, even like having a set medic on set, right? Like sometimes we would only have that person day play, you know, they'll only come on when there's like a stunt or something like that, you know, or there's, you know, some challenging environment or something like that, you know, on a smaller film where you don't have the luxury of having a set medic every day. Well, you know, now they're going to be they are going to be an essential person. You know, if everybody has to come in and, you know, get tested or check to see if they are running a fever or not, you know, and that's going to have to, you know, be built into the day's schedule is clearing everyone to do that. You know, so when you talk about like scaling back, yeah, sure, sounds great. But when you look at the reality of what the challenges are going to be in order to create a safe set, you know, there's going to be a lot of shifting there, and there's going to have to be a lot of really thoughtful conversations with the producing team and about how to do that safely.
Yeah, I mean, that's deep. I mean, I think you just created a new role, right? Like there are a couple of roles that I think about, you know, with regards to that individual that is cleaning and that's there, but that's an integral part of, you know, I was on the line yesterday with someone who manufactures like sleeves that go over just, yeah, it's a whole new world in a sense, and a whole new dynamic, and a lot of things to consider. I mean, you mentioned insurance. That's a whole other dynamic. I mean,
yeah,
writers, you know, how comfortable are the actors or the talent going to feel, and what things do they need to feel comfortable in order to come on? Rob, talk to us a little bit about some of that. I mean, what touched you, or what rings true for you, and what some of what Mary Kay was saying.
You know, I'm 100% on board with everything that Mary Kay said. You know, here we've been constantly having those discussions, and also with colleagues in the industry. You know, when it comes back and sets do come back, you know, what's that going to look like? You know, how am I going to separate? You know, let's say we have holding. You know, how many people do we put in that room? What can I do to facilitate and take some of that burden off of production, so that they could, you know. I have a set in the hangar right now. It's just a big set sitting in there. You know, usually when you walk in there, it's pitch dark, and then you got producers rolling, you got gaffers on this side and lighting, and everybody's just gathered around that thing. I see that changing. You know, I see those groups are going to space themselves out more. The teams are going to get a little smaller, and then like Mary Kay said, you know, even just locations or the PAs that hang out outside. You know, there's a lot of changes coming. So I'm constantly sitting there, you know, trying to develop an action plan, or how do I have safety procedures so that when production does come back, what can I do to take some of that burden off of them as well? Mary Kay, those that have worked with me here, I'm always very conscious on budget. I do focus on the smaller films. And so budget to me is, what can I do to alleviate that cost from production so that they can finish their job, finish the project, and then we get a shot at distribution and we just continue making some really cool projects coming out of Chicago. So yes, constantly thinking of that at all levels, whether it's an event, a music video or whatnot, but it is going to change. We just don't know how that's going to change. But as far as projects go, I say just keep going at it. Now's the time to reinvent yourself. Keep writing those scripts, those ideas. I think some really cool films are going to come out of this, or music, or poems, or books, because you got all the time in the world that just contemplate life and put your thoughts to down. So
Yeah.
And I want to be in another show there, Mary Kay. But no, I know.
Yeah, now is definitely.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Definitely.
No, I was just gonna riff off.
There's a delay.
Sorry, I was just gonna say that what you said is so astute. Is use this downtime to strengthen, the relationships that you do have, and create. Mother Nature is literally telling us go inside, and so put your head down and work. I think for me, I'm developing a web series, a feature, I have a documentary that I'm working on. So for me, this is a time to reset and reevaluate who I want to be as a storyteller, what I want to do when we come back. And, for me, that means being creative. And so I think it's all about how you frame it, right? How are you going to look at this? I can get depressed as the next person, but I can also look at this challenge as an opportunity. And I think that we're going to see a lot of innovating ideas come out of it, because necessity is the mother of invention. Yes. So you have to, I think, especially for your audience, for the CCE people, your members, I'm really excited to see what they come up with, because, these are unprecedented times, and it's going to require out of the box thinking. But really, it's going to be about defining what are the pain points, and then what's the solution to them, and if you can monetize that, even better.
That's right. That's right. And that's a really good point. I've been very careful to, say, as we've had to migrate from our physical space into this virtual space, and wanting to share these talks, right? We've got 9 different industries in which we'll cover while we're sheltered in place. We've realized that this format is still very valuable to those individuals who, when we do come back, or we go out of our homes and we return to 2112, where we have these talks in person, how many people are still going to be a little slow to come out? So now we have this way of still, providing a standard of delivery, some continuity based on our mission, to individuals who may not come back to the 2112 main stage immediately. We hope over time people will feel definitely comfortable to come back out. But even in our physical space, like Rob said, we're definitely considering, the social distancing. What does that look like in bringing groups of people in? But I think both of you bring up such a good point. And Mary Kay, you did bring up our leadership. And I think that we are very fortunate to have a governor and Governor Pritzker, as well as our mayor. I call her Madam Mayor Lightfoot. And that they are extremely supportive of the creative arts, and I know that Duquesne is one of, the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. Everyone's kind of had to put a halt, because right now lives are at stake, and that's the primary focus. So bringing this full circle, what I really want to impart to everyone is we are all dealing with friends or family members who have either been touched by COVID-19. And so we do come to this space with a certain amount of sensitivity. But at the same time, we really want to keep our creatives inspired, because it is the time where, when individuals are faced with darkness, that light comes out of it in some capacity, whether it's creatively, innovation. So I really hope that individuals who are out there take this opportunity, like both of our guests have said, to find those new ways to create and to bring something out. Now, Mary Kay, I have to say, when you said a documentary and a feature, I was like, is it all going to happen in your apartment or your home? I'm just kidding. Because no, I'm kidding. I know. But there are a lot of people actually figuring things out in their homes too.
Yeah. And a lot of commercial stuff is user-generated content right now. I think if you're a director DP and you have your own lighting and camera system, in your house or in your garage or something, like, you can do some tabletop work. You know what I mean? Like, people, I think, are still trying to figure out ways, brands certainly are still trying to figure out ways to safely get their messages out there, because people are on their tablets and their phones more than ever now, because it's how we're staying connected.
Yeah, Sean Ruggles, he has a question. It says, what tips would you two suggest for smaller independent producers to survive in this new environment?
Ooh. Unemployment.
Well, that was the whole conversation we had yesterday.
Oh, was it? Okay, so you covered that.
All of that. But I think actually Mary Kay just addressed it, right? Like, in terms of, if you have some resources in your home, I mean, I've been very transparent. I'm in my dining room, okay? My bedroom light is over here. If I were to turn it off, it's like I'm not as well lit, I'll just, to that question, I have a whiteboard underneath me. Yeah, this is for my office.
Oh, good
but
for
it's
you.
working as a bounce. So, you can get creative, everybody. Figure out ways. But to Sean's point, I think that Mary Kay actually addressed it in that there may be things or resources that you have. I just heard the other night, a friend of mine said that he and his wife watched Jazz at Lincoln Center perform on Zoom with artists from all over the world with their different instruments, right? Sorry,
yeah.
Here. And it worked. So it's like, what can we do in this moment? I would ask, in terms of commercial producers, is it possible to get sponsorship for organizations who are now kicking out content online? What does that look like in terms of partnering with new organizations that have figured it out, as opposed to the larger brands? I think in that way, it would help a lot of individuals who may not have unemployment, right? But that are freelancers and have a skill set that can somehow be monetized. Rob, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Reinventing yourself, I think, is key here. There are, the world is content hungry right now. So there are, especially the digital channels, there is opportunity. If you have old content that nobody's ever seen before, how do you repurpose that and get it out to the Netflixes of the world, and and even the Hulus? So there is opportunity. As an indie, or if you're writing a short, just find that way to reinvent. Unemployment is definitely, that's an option for everyone. But this is an unusual time. I mean, I don't think any of us have ever, this has never happened. So, there's not a magic answer. The thing is that, you have to dust yourself off, you got to get in a routine, just keep doing what you do. We will come out of this. Things are going to change. The new normal will be safety first. But definitely, I wish I had a right answer for that. Just keep looking. The internet is full of solutions right now, and people want content. If you speak multiple languages, other countries want content too. So just do it all. I mean, take a dart, throw it at the wall, and then pick it up again and throw it again. So just keep going.
Well, I think for me, as an indie producer, it's really about back to basics. It's about work with what you have, and if all you have is, are the ideas and the creative inside your head, then get them out. Get them out on paper, get it out on video. However, whatever resources you have, use them to your advantage.
Yes.
Yeah, I second that.
Yes. Yeah. This is the perfect time to do that. So
yeah, I mean, I've had people say, "Wow, it's so quiet." Like, I don't know. I've been thinking about things I've always wanted to do, and I never had time to do it.
Do that. Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, for sure, start exploring some of those interests. I feel like I've been working more than I did when I've been here having that conversation where there are some of us who are actually working more than we were when we went in. So, but the whole point is like, keep yourself motivated the best you can, eat healthy while you can. Listen, I am so happy that both of you have taken this time out of your days. So let me ask you, Mary Kate, before we go, so having produced and being an indie producer, you're still based in Chicago, right?
Uh-oh.
Is there a delay? Well,
wait, I think I'm back. Okay. All right. Did you ask a question?
Yeah, so I just wanted to check in with you as an indie producer and having produced films and, as you mentioned earlier, an award-winning producer. Are you still living in Chicago?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So talk to us a little bit about why you stay in Chicago when you have an option to move to LA or New York or Austin or Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Curious.
Well, it really, for me, it comes down to community. I love the film community here. And I think that we have incredible resources of talent, both in front of and behind the camera. And we have really smart, hardworking, and other community-minded people here. So many times when you look at people on the East or the West Coast, there's a stereotype that they're all in it for themselves, and certainly there's exceptions to every rule, but I really think that the stereotype of Chicago is true, is that we are a city of broad shoulders and we are very community-based, people, and it's more ensemble based. You see that everywhere from like the theaters of like Steppenwolf and Second City and all of that to our crews here, and I just love the people here.
Yeah, that's great. I find that to be true. I wanted to ask that because it's come up, in so many of our conversations around developing more of a workforce here in Chicago. And Rob knows, actually, you could speak to, well, I won't say the name of the client, I almost did, but you can speak to some of what you've heard from outside production companies coming in. Tell us some of what their response has been at shooting at the hangar.
When we first, again, 4 years in some of the projects I've had, and I want to thank everybody, and Mary Kay, you and the team with Chasing the Blues, just to give us that opportunity to have that movie here. That meant, it means so much. You never forget your first one, but some of the films that we've had here, and even the larger episodics, I won't say the name, but I would say probably one of the largest ones in the planet. You could figure that one out on your own. When they came here and we housed production and they filmed, they weren't sure about housing production in an open space environment. We had locations down from hair and makeup and lighting. So all these departments were in an open space area, and they loved it. And to have them say that they've never been treated the way we hosted them here in the hangar and at 2112 and in Chicago, that really says a lot for the community that we have here. because they did use a lot of Chicago labor, and that just says something for all of us, because there's no one person that really does it, but it really says something about our city, our industry, and how much we want this. And we really do have a lot of fun when we get to work on these projects. It really is I say we're second to none. I've had the opportunity to go to Atlanta, some LA projects, but working in Chicago and being here with the film industry and the music industry as well, it's we're up and coming. I say we maybe even surpassed that, and we're definitely second to none. So I love my film industry. I love the community that I get to work in every day, and it's gonna be back. We're coming back.
It's coming back.
I think we've come up with a new slogan for the Chicago film community: second to none. I love it.
Second to none. So yeah.
Second to none. I mean, it's not second city. It's second to none.
There you go.
One other thing before we jump off, for the viewers out there, if you guys have any last minute questions we want to get in while we have these two spectacular individuals who have taken their time to share their knowledge and their inspiration with you today, please let us know. You can put your comments down and we'll address them. But I just want to speak to our tax credit briefly, because Atlanta was brought up. We've talked about the West Coast and the East Coast. So talk to us a little bit of both of you in terms of your experience and speak on that.
MK, I'll let you take that one. I know it affects you greatly with all the departments you work with. So I'm happy we have a tax credit that's going to be here till, is it 2026, I think?
Sure. Well, I'm a super huge fan of the Illinois tax credit.
Yeah, it's a wonderful asset that provides, it gives us a bit of leverage, right, with regards to productions and where they could decide to shoot. It gives us just a little bit of a leg up. So I just wanted to ask you guys about that, because it does differentiate us from the other states.
Well, one thing that I really like about the tax credit is that it's directly tied to diversity and to efforts towards creating more inclusive crews and putting more people to work. And so that for me is an essential component that no other tax credit has. You have to have a diversity plan and try and meet the goals of representation on your crew as there is representation in the state. And so I think that that's a wonderful selling point, actually, for the tax credit. I'm just, I have one going through the Illinois Film Office right now, and it's obviously from an investor standpoint, it's a great motivator. We have groups like Chicago Media Angels, who will fund against a projected tax credit. Lots of companies doing that, and so it's a great opportunity for investors, and also I think it's a great opportunity for producers to hire a more diverse crew.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because it's critical, right? In terms of, we have our other incubator over at IFA, and CineSpace has CineCares, right? Yeah. Which develops talent in the crews, in terms of the actual individuals who are working behind the set. And it's literally life-changing. Like, it is what we call it, generational wealth building. Right. And so it's great that the state supports that. And then we have other organizations that actually are able to fulfill it. And we look forward to CCE also being a part of, over time, developing workforce development. So listen, I can't thank you enough for joining us as a founder of The Hangar, 7,000 square foot open space, which, great imaginations make very specific into homes or really cool sets. And then, Mary Kay Cooke being an incredible producer out there. And wish I could have come in with those dollars. Like, it's so frustrating when you know it's a good project and you know the team is really good and you've got investors who, are still new. And that's something to be said about the film industry here, is really empowering and educating individuals who are not familiar with the film industry how critical they can be to really good projects. And I know who was on board on your project. So I was like, can we do it, please? So I'm so happy to hear that that it did get shot, completed, and we will celebrate the day where it lands. Are you be sure to let us know, because it's going to land somewhere. I mean, look, it's and we don't.
It's a gem.
It's a gem.
Yeah, we can't wait to share it with the world for sure.
Really quick, Sadia. I also want to say, I'd like to thank the Chicago Film Office and the Illinois Film Office, because I know that all of us, this entire industry, and MK, you're part of that. We are out there trying to figure this thing out, and the Film Office and Chicago Film Office and our governor as well. Getting these tax credits, but collectively we all play in the same sandbox together, and we continuously do that, so that we try and get these projects and just keep Chicago going. So we're not going anywhere. We're still here, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Yeah.
We're not second city. We're second to none. Is that
none?
That is a Rob Tovar. Let's put that in the purple book, Rob.
I'm on. Done. We'll fill you in on that one later, MK.
Appreciate it.
You guys listen. It's Friday. Some people know it's Friday. Some people don't. It's okay. We're all here together. Listen, have a great rest of your day. Have a fantastic weekend. For all of our viewers out there, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. And feel free to leave us a message on our Facebook page, any questions or comments. Also, let us know if there's something that you want to hear about. In the next several weeks, we'll be bringing up some of our other industries like theater, culinary arts, visual arts. MK spoke about, artists and how we're reimagining and doing things in our home. So there's so many aspects of the creative industries and the creative sector here in Illinois that have a great opportunity during this time to think of something new. Let's innovate. Let's create. I'm Sadia Davis. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a good rest of your day. And
Thank you so much. Bye now. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Rob. Thanks, everybody.